Good morning, and hey, welcome to week 4. We are just zipping along at this point. I'm not going to talk for a long time, but I just wanted to touch base about this whole research question and where you should be in terms of developing or identifying some potential topics for this capstone essay. You're going to hear me refer to the capstone as the capstone, obviously, but also as the research argument, the position paper, same paper. Okay, basically, this is the culminating factor of what will become a good or fair amount of research and discovery, and then a larger paper where you get to hold forth on your position on a contemporary issue. Now, anything is up for grabs, all right? Anything, any topic, anything that compels you, anything that interests you, intrigues you. Let me, though, lay down a few suggestions, I guess. Don't just revert to the junior high topics that come up when you Google hot topics to write about or whatever it is. They won't matter so much to you. And when you do that, yeah, you may find plenty of research about it, but if you're not passionate or at least curious about the topic, you're not going to do as well as you think. All right, because I've found many, many years of doing this that people write better when it's something that they care about or something that they want to know more about or that they want to share with other people. So don't feel like you have to go global. You don't, okay, no pun intended, but you don't have to write about global warming unless it's something that's really true to your heart. Maybe you want to write about something more local in your own field, right? Like maybe you want to look at concussions in football. I was just reading an article earlier, and I've read other papers about it, about not allowing young people to play tackle football or soccer until they are in high school, because those are the developmental years and the number of injuries and things that can occur even with the best helmets, things of that nature. Maybe you want to look at child care. Congratulations to Sydney, who just had a baby. Maybe you want to look at, child rearing strategies. Maybe you want to look at something like that. It doesn't have to be something that yields this tremendous, like, argument. Remember, whenever we refer to argument, when we're doing it academically, it just means presenting your position on an issue. And that doesn't have to be combative. It doesn't have to create all sorts of controversy in that regard. It just has to yield some different positions. It doesn't have to be antagonistic or confrontational, but simply informed. And that's where we're going to begin. Okay, so what I want you to do for this week, first of all, your final drafts are due tonight. Hey, I missed a whole bunch of rough drafts. I hope you guys know what you're doing. I did give feedback to those of you that submitted rough drafts, and most of you gave feedback to one another, and I appreciate you sending those back so I could see what your commentary was for your peers as well. And you'll be getting credit for those. I just have to record the grades. So hopefully that will help you as you work your way through those revisions. Also, okay, so that's one piece, and your final draft's due tonight by midnight. Very important, obviously. So this next step is to develop a research question, and I say this because you shouldn't know the answer yet. All right, the whole purpose is to figure out what your thesis will be, what you're going to go on to prove. And I don't believe you can know that yet. All right, you might have some leanings and you might think you know what you want to say. But until you actually do some of the research, you shouldn't have a super clear direction. That's the goal of research. That's how we figure out what we think, is by reading and learning more. So I want you to use the research to help you develop that position and to work into something that you can then explore in a longer paper. So that's the direction that we're going right now. Start thinking about a few potential issues that you might like to examine in writing, and then we're going to post those on the discussion board. And from there, you can share ideas. Maybe you have some experience with this. I have found in years past that you guys have a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge about things. Share that with your peers and say, hey, did you know this exists, or did you know that exists? Or you share some resources and you start looking a little bit more deeply into these topics, and I think you will be able to help one another as well. Just to give you sort of a tentative layout of what comes after that, you'll be doing an annotated bibliography. Okay, so that'll be the next step. Again, this whole research driven initiative will build to the actual position paper, the capstone essay. All right, but you can't just do it and then work backwards. The idea is that you build a body of research, you learn a little bit more and a lot more and a lot more, and you keep building on it until you come up with a position that you can take in a more developed essay. So that's what we're working toward, but we're going to begin by establishing some source material and then narrowing it down. So first topic, next annotated bibliography, then the capstone essay. So we'll get you there, but it's just going to take a minute. So keep thinking along those lines. Be scrutinizing in your source material, all right? I think I said on the announcement page, don't go to Billy Bob's blog for information about concealed carry, because Billy Bob may not really be an authority. So think about his ethos, his credibility, his ability to speak on the issue. Not saying that blogs are utterly uncredible, because that's not always the case, but you need to check the credentials of the authors. You can't really use a personal blog to provide support that's going to give you strong ethos in your own work. So go to the library's database, use Google Scholar, look for credible source material. Think about the University of Michigan website, that spectrum of political, I guess, leanings and biases. They can, not that you can't use those, but it's just an identifying characteristic. So if you know that it's a heavily left-leaning source or a heavily right-leaning source, you can use that to sort of temper the information that you have, and at least balance it, maybe by finding a more neutral arena from which to draw. So think a little bit about that as you're gathering your research. I will be checking in again. In the meantime, get those papers done. Give me some good stuff. I will get them back to you as soon as I can with some grades. If they're turned in on time and you did a complete effort, or you made a complete effort, you will have the opportunity to revise for a better grade. And I'll address sort of those suggestions in your individual essays. I'll give you feedback again directly on those. So have a fantastic Monday, folks. I'll be in touch.